really important, right? Factoring a trinomial is good, but if you don't know about home finance, you're gonna be in trouble, right? Yeah, let's close some of those blinds there. I know this is not realistic. $100,000 house, good luck, right? But let's say you buy your house for $100,000. This is on page 7. Let's assume you own. This is what you own right here. You own $60,000 of that home, and $40,000 you still owe, right? That's right there. So there are two things that are happening, and I would like you to, if you have a ruler, great. If not, that's okay. But let's just do a light bar here this way to keep in line with our starting value, and then also go down to the bottom of the equity bar and make a light line going this way. So you start off with 60 grand, but there's two things are happening. The value of your home is increasing over time because of inflation, right? Because of demand. There's a lot of demand for housing. So people are willing to pay more because everybody's fighting over this one house, right? I want it, no, I want it. Well, who's going to bid more? Well, there's this bidding war going on, right? So let's say over time, at any point, we just make an analysis right here. Let's say 5 years gone by, and we make another bar here. Right? Let's say at this point you only owe 20K. Let's just put 20K in there. This is what you owe. And let's say your house went from 100,000 to, let's say, 130,000. Hey, geese. 60K, right? The 60K stayed, right? And so what happened is you went from 100 to 130. So you probably gained, so let me just do the math here. This is 30, and no, sorry, this is 20. Because remember, we used to have 40, now we only owe 20. So that means that we own $20,000 more. And this is 60, so this is 100, so this would be 30K right here, right? So the value of your home has gone up by 30,000, okay? The 60,000 is still here, but you also paid off an extra 20 grand, right? You paid this off, and value increased by 30,000, right? So two things happened, right? And so I'm going to use an orange highlighter and just say, this used to be my equity. Now my equity is a lot more, right? How much equity do you have in the home right now? Let's go like this. You have 20 plus 60, that's 80, plus another 30, that's 110,000. 110,000 is your equity. Okay. So what happens is the amount that you own is going up because of two reasons. Because the value of the home is increasing and you're at the same time paying it off, right? So this equity is actually increasing a lot faster than what you think, right? So this is what the banks really, this is what is good for you, and the banks are willing to borrow money to you because they know you have equity in the home. Okay, so basically, let's write this down under here. I have a little write-up for it, page 7. I will define equity for you. Okay, here you go. Equity Equity is the amount, is the amount of money you would keep, if you were to sell your house and pay off the remaining balance. That's how it is. Equity is the amount of money you would keep if you were to sell your house and pay off the remaining balance. Okay? And the more equity you have in the home, the better. There will be a point, hopefully, where you owe nothing, right? So you're gonna owe zero, but the value of the home is gonna continue increasing indefinitely for as long as you live in that house. Is it always gonna go up? I can't tell you that. Like, I don't know, but it is safe to say that for the longest time, in general, the housing market is going up, right? It probably goes more like zigzag. It goes down and up, but the general trend is increasing, unless something really bad were to happen, in which case all investments would be affected. Okay, that's equity, guys. I know does it make sense? Does it make a little bit of sense? Equity, it's the part of the house that is yours. This is not cash, guys. You don't have cash. But you can turn this into cash. The bank is willing to say, hey, you want $80,000 to go on vacation, renovate your home, and buy this new car? Because we know you have this much money in that house. So if you ever stop paying your payments, they can take your house, sell it, and get their money back, right? So equity is very powerful. You can turn it into cash in forms of a loan, okay? That's it. That's all I'm going to say for equity right now, page 7. Let's keep going. I'm going to skip a bunch of pages. For example, page 16. Don't worry about it. That's only if time allows. Let's go to 18. Have a highlighter ready for that one. Okay. This is what we call the initial startup costs when purchasing a home. And all of these guys, all of these are what we call one time. You only pay them one time when you buy your house. And when you buy your house, there's something called we're closing the deal, right? You're closing the deal. That's why they're also called closing costs. They mean the same thing. It happens one time. So the biggest expense when purchasing a house or a condo will be the down payment, right? The biggest expense will by far most likely be your down payment, which is 5% minimum. So let me tell you here, on a house that's 350,000, if you multiply that by 0.05, sorry, that's a big down payment. You would need 17,500 as a down payment. However, nobody tells you this, nobody told me this. You need to probably save up an additional, watch this, save up an additional 2 to 4% of the purchase price for what we call startup costs, something that happens when you buy the home. There's something that I call hidden costs. Nobody tells you about it until it's time to buy it, right? So here it is. It is recommended that you get a home inspection done before you buy a house. It is highly recommended for the house to be inspected by a professional inspector. I would say this, it's roughly $300 to $500, depending on the services. And these are people that have studied, that are professionals. They know about all the different codes. And I would say when you make an offer to purchase, guys, always add this clause to it. You will say pending inspection. That allows you to back out of the deal should there be any major damages or concerns with the home. Okay? So I would always put down pending inspection. I will buy this house if it passes the inspection. Okay? Keep going. Appraisal fee. What in the world is an appraisal? When lending money, the lender must determine the value of the property. The lender must determine the value of the property. Okay? So they will get an appraiser to figure out what the value is of the home. They did that for my house because if you overbid, the bank wants to make sure you don't bid too much because they don't want to be stuck with something that isn't worth as much as it should be. So they send somebody down. Quite often they pay for it, but sometimes you have to pay for it. That's a couple $100. It's usually a real estate agent that works for the bank. That's who they send. Next, mortgage fee. I'm not going to highlight that because most banks don't charge a fee anymore. They want your business. This is big. Land transfer tax. That is big. Huge. You are required to pay this to the Manitoba Land Titles Office. You don't need to remember that part, but just that you have to pay this when you buy a house. And it's based on this chart, which we will use down the road, but don't worry about it just yet. Land transfer tax, guys, it's basically, the name says it all. You transferring the house from you to somebody else costs you thousands of dollars, just making that change, which is crazy, but that's how the government makes money. Next, survey certificate. I will just do this one here. Property survey. This provides information, right? Provides information on how buildings, fences, and other structures are situated on the property, right? This could cost you a lot of money. I have one. The owner that I bought my house from has one, and it tells you exactly where everything is supposed to be. You know what I found out is that you don't have to write this down necessarily, just listen. I have a fence all around my house, well, not in the front, but the side and the back. And my neighbor in the back said, did you know that your fence is a foot into my property? So he shows me the survey. Sure enough, the technically my property ends there, but the fence is a foot into his property. So technically he could make me move the fence, but he said, don't worry about it. I'm not going to go for it. But this survey, the survey shows you that, okay? Next, I'm going to show you the legal lawyer fees. You need to get a lawyer to finalize the transaction. Real estate lawyers will charge you $300 to $400 for any legal work that needs to be done. That might even be writing up a proposal of buying a home, okay? So make sure you get that. These are all one time. Somebody asked me once, is the lawyer like an all the time? And like, unless you want to be in trouble with the law, no, you should just have to pay it once, right? Let's keep going. One more thing on the back here. This is all I'm going to say here. You can read the other stuff on your own time, but here it is. This is actually all factual, guys. Every single thing in here is actually what's happening, right? But here, this is the one I want you to highlight, the interest adjustment. Basically, if you require a mortgage, the processing time required by the land title's office means that your mortgage money is not released until after you take possession of your home. During this time, you must pay interest. You must pay interest to the seller. For like if the seller has to wait a month to get their money, because it's not your house until the land titles office changes the name onto you, right? So you must pay interest on this to the seller. And it's a complicated process. I think you're okay with this. This is all I'm going to highlight here, but everything else goes as well. Go to page 20 real quick. Why you pay interest? Why you pay interest to seller? Why is that happening? This is why. This is you, the buyer. Okay. Then there's the seller. Right? They sold you the house. Right? This is how it goes, guys. The money that the bank is going to give you to buy the house goes to your lawyer. That lawyer holds on to the money until your lawyer holds on to the money until the name is transferred. Okay, and that might take up to a month. And at that point, the lawyer gives the money to the seller's lawyer, who then deposits the money into the seller's account. That's how it goes, right? And you pay interest for the time. You pay interest for the time it takes to transfer property. That's why you pay interest, guys. And it could be $1,000, it could be over $1,000 just for that. Nobody told me that. They just send me the bill, and it's kind of you don't see it coming. Right? So the bank gives you the money. It's like you give it to your lawyer, who gives it to their lawyer, who gives it to them. So that way you're not transferring that amount of money straight to the seller unless you buy it cash, in which case you have a lot of cash, right? All right, let's keep going. We're going to skip 21 and 22. So let's go to 23 here, understanding mortgages. So I know I'm overloading you with information. I know that, and I apologize, but I need to do it before I start talking calculations. So go to 23. Mortgage is a loan to finance real estate, right? Mortgage is a loan to finance real estate. Amortization period is the length of time to pay off the mortgage. Usually it's 25 years for most people. There's that word equity again. Equity, the portion of the value of your property that you own. Okay. Interest is the finance charge, how much extra you need to pay to borrow the money. Total interest. That's what interest is. Principal is the amount borrowed, also called the mortgage amount. Okay. Unpaid balance is a portion of the value of your property that is owed to the financial institution. I'm assuming you all know what a down payment is, the amount of money you put towards the purchase of a home, but it is the minimum in Canada right now is 5%. Otherwise, you will not be approved. Okay? It used to be 0, guys, but it's 5 now. The amount after the down payment is mortgage and finance. So let's do some understanding here. Let's say you buy a house for $200,000 and you make a $25,000 down payment. Your mortgage is $175,000. Right now, the equity at the very beginning is the $25,000 you put down because it's just starting, right? See what's the unpaid balance. At the very beginning, it would be the $175,000. And then D, calculate the down payment as a percent. It's just like your test score. What's 25,000 out of 200,000, right? I have this much out of the total that I could possibly have to buy the house. Okay, so you get 25,000 divided by 200,000 times 100, so that's 12.5%. Don't forget that. This is a slam dunk question if I ever ask you that. You know, so and so has saved up 50 grand. How much would that be as a percentage? You ready for this? You're gonna have to be awake for this one. Types of mortgages, there's two basically. There's a fixed rate. I will highlight that. Fixed rate versus variable rate. And the name says it all. If a mortgage is fixed, a mortgage with the interest rate unchanged for a specified period of time. When you choose a 5-year term, you're guaranteed to keep that interest rate you chose for that time frame. It's also closed. It's also called what we call a closed mortgage. If you fix it, it's closed. You can't change your interest rate. It could be a good thing. If interest rates go up after you sign, no worries, you're locked in. If they go down, sorry, you're locked in, right? Variable rate is a mortgage where the interest rate may vary from month to month. This one is called open. It's an open mortgage. You can literally sell whenever you want and not pay a penalty. Can we add that here? You pay a penalty if you sell. If you sell the house within the 5 years, you pay a penalty for the fixed one, the closed. So if you know you're going to move in the near future, don't close it. Leave it open, right? But you don't want to, yeah, it's up to you. Whatever risks you're comfortable with. I just gave you a picture, a snapshot of some of the rates right now. So banks usually offer a 1, a 3, and a 5-year, even though they have everything in between. So you could pick, you could go shop around, right? I personally like the 5-year a lot. I kind of just lock in for 5 years and I don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay. Follow me to 24, please. Some of you are going to do a lot of the things that I talk about on this page. I promise you this, guys. We'll make it through 24 and that's it for today. Okay, you just have to make it through 24. Then tomorrow we'll do the math, okay? How a fixed term mortgage works. Let's assume that you choose a 5-year term rate. This would implicate that you're not interested in selling your home within this time frame. If you do decide to sell, you will have to pay a penalty. The main reason for this is that the money the bank borrowed you is from people's investments, and they were promised a certain rate. That's why they lock you in for 5 years. So let's say you're starting your house here, you buy your house, and let's say this is what's going to happen over the next 25 years. Okay, let's say you go for a 5-year, you lock in for 5 years, and you get this interest rate, 5.49. Okay, 549. First year, 5 years. The bank will send you 6 months before the 5 years are over. They're going to say, hey, you want to remortgage? You want to already pick your new rate? What do you want to do? You go in and you sign again. And most of us are going to go for another 5-year term. And let's say you're lucky, and at that point, the interest rates are low. 3.78, that went down. You're like, yes, ka-ching, right? Because you're going to save money, guys. And not just hundreds of dollars, you're going to save thousands of dollars by that change. Let's say you go for another 5 years, and then you get 6.75. Right? Interest rate went up along the way, and at the time of signing, that's the best that you had available. Another 5 years go by. Let's say you get a 2.9% rate. Sweet, right? You're going to save. And the last 5 years of your mortgage is 1.75%. No, that would be sweet, right? 1.75. Believe it or not, I got that when it was time to sign. And just the last year, 2 years, the interest rate went up like crazy. So I'm locked in for this for the next 3 years yet. So I'm hoping that the rates will go down from now until the time I have to re-sign. Okay? How long did it take you here in total? 25 years total. Perfect. Just write that down, because I'm about to take you in a different direction. Let's say 5 years came in and you needed a new car. So you wanted to use your equity and throw it on your mortgage, but your payments would be too high. This is what a lot of people do. They say after 5 years have gone by, they're like, you know what? I want to start again. They remortgage. They remortgage and they start from scratch. They go another 25 years into the future. So we can't forget that you already went 5 years. So let's bring that 5 years down here. Okay. This is 5 years that has gone by. And then you decide to go another 25 years. Okay. So technically, under these circumstances, you went 5 years plus 25 years. How many years in total? 30 years. I did that, to be honest. Some of your parents probably did that if you asked them. Why would you want to do this? Why would you want to do this method? And the main reason is your payment goes down. Your payment goes down because if you go by 5 years, the amount you owe the bank has gone down. If you then say, instead of paying the remaining balance in 20 years, you're saying, nope, I'm going to start from scratch and I'm going to take 25 years again from now on. So here it is. Why would you want to do that? remortgaging decreases the payment, but, or however, and this one comedian says, nothing good ever follows however, right? However, no, stop right there. Don't say what you're going to say. Remortgaging decreases the payment, but results in more interest paid. More interest paid. Okay. People choose this remortgage to increase cash flow. Your keyword of the day, you need more cash flow. You need more money in your pocket from month to month to pay for groceries, to pay for gas, all of these things. So remortgaging is an option. But remember this, guys, the longer you take to pay something off, the more interest you're going to pay, period. Even if your payment goes down, you're paying more interest overall. We're almost done. So it decreases payment, but there's more interest paid, right? So there's a give and take. A house or real estate is considered an appreciating asset. That's important, right? House or real estate is an appreciating asset, and instead of a car, it's depreciating, since it generally increases in value over time. This is due to the fact that there's a limited supply but an increasing demand. If you can find something that is limited in supply and increased in demand, even as a job, you go for it, because you're going to be in a good position. Low supply and high demand will always drive up cost of something, even toilet paper, right? We all learned that over COVID, right? Companies capitalized on that, right? Oh, you want this, right? Everybody's scrambling over this. Well, are you willing to pay more? And they did that, right? They became greedy. Right? Owning a house or condo has its advantages, but there are many additional costs involved. Owning has additional costs involved, such as the startup costs, down payment. You're responsible for all repairs, right? So you need your down payment, all repairs, maintenance, bills, and you should always consider that when making a decision. When you rent, for some, renting is much more feasible. Startup are lower, startup costs are lower. Most bills are included. It's easier to relocate if needed. Major repairs and maintenance are the landlord's responsibility. So it's actually sometimes financially okay to rent. If you gotta be careful with your money. You gotta invest it, because once you're 60 or 65 and you realize, oh, I never saved up, it's too late, right, guys? Retirement is gonna be just around the corner. You don't want to think of retirement because you're like, I'm young, right? But it's doing it now where it matters, right? Investing now before it's too late. Thank you very much, guys. You've made it through a painful session, but I